What you're about to hear is every parent's worst nightmare. On Prime Crime.
He was giving my 8-year-old too much attention. I had a bad feeling about him.
A monster lurking in the shadows.
You know how old they are? About 12, 13. You can sit a wine glass on her.
A crime so heinous, it brought jurors and witnesses to tears.
I'm sorry, I have to take a break. Can I just have like 5 minutes?
Can a convicted killer get another shot at freedom?
He is going to be brutal with any victim. If he were out, I think he'd have more.
Hey, ma'am, what's your daughter's name? Her name's Cherish. And her last name? Perrywinkle with a P.
June 21st, 2013, Jacksonville, Florida. Rain Perrywinkle and her 3 young daughters are shopping in a Dollar General store. The Perrywinkle family didn't have a lot of money, and Rain couldn't afford to buy her 8-year-old Cherish a new dress. That's when someone took notice.
I looked to my right, and he was standing in the doorway looking right at us. He said, "You look like you have your hands full. I have a couple of little ones."
56-year-old Donald Smith is watching Rain and the kids when he then offers to help them. He claims he has a $150 gift card to Walmart, and his wife can drive it to them.
He saw this window of opportunity where he would be able to use a weakness, financial insecurity, and he realized that he would be able to entice them with money to be able to get time with these girls alone.
Smith then even offers to drive them in his van to the Walmart, an offer that Rain accepts.
It was dark. There were blinds on the windows. There was no seat in the middle, and the passenger seat was pushed all the way down.
At the Walmart, video surveillance shows Rain and the girls shopping while Smith just looks on. And as each minute passes, there's still no sign of Smith's wife.
It's so ominous to see things like that because you almost want to reach out and try to change it in that moment. It's heart-wrenching because this is the point before which things will never be able to go back in time.
Later on, Smith suggests buying the family food from the McDonald's in the store. Again, Rain accepts. It's at this point Cherish follows Smith to get the food.
There's nothing distressing about that video. He is not holding her hand. He is not pulling her arm. He is not dragging her by the hair. He is not pushing her. She is not resisting him. If all you had was that video, in this case, hey, that's her granddad, and how awesome is that he took her to Walmart.
But as this video shows, they don't stay in the store. Instead, Smith leads the 8-year-old outside to his van, where they get in and drive away.
911 Robinson. Hi, I'm at Walmart. Lem Turner. I think my daughter's been taken. What do you mean? Taken by a stranger. I can't find her. Okay, and she was last seen with this man? Yes, he said he was going to McDonald's and he hasn't been there because the store is closed right now. I had a bad feeling about him. Okay, how long have you been looking for you? When was the last time you saw your daughter? How long ago? About half an hour ago.
All protectors of children need to know that these predators are out there, and there is a level of blame when you entrust someone you do not know to be around your child who is defenseless.
I had a bad feeling. I thought, well, I feel like pinching myself because this is too good to be true. He was giving my 8-year-old too much attention. He wanted her to buy these really tall shoes that were women's shoes, and I told him no.
You know, listen, I know people don't like her. It was a bad decision, but think about it. She is vulnerable. She has no money. She is desperate, and she's manipulated. She's a victim, like Cherish is a victim.
I don't want him to kill her. I should have told him no.
Despite Rain's pleas on the 911 call, when police respond, they don't initially classify this as an abduction, rather a missing persons case. Authorities wouldn't even inform the media or issue an Amber Alert for at least 6 hours.
I don't think law enforcement actually believed her. This is my opinion. So as a result of law enforcement saying, hey, we're a little skeptical, we may not believe the mother's story in this case, I think they could have found him with Cherish sooner, and we do not know if that means she still would have been alive.
The next morning, police finally track down Smith as he's driving his van on the highway. They also receive a new call.
Hi, we're calling about a suspicious van over here, a white van. It was parked behind some bushes. It's not there anymore, but we don't know if he dumped anything because we heard a girl just got abducted from Walmart.
Authorities then find the worst, Cherish's dead body lying in the marsh of a creek.
This depraved indifference to life and the clear ability to just injure someone who is so defenseless and small just shows a level of sociopathy that we actually come to know is, in fact, the way Mr. Smith is.
I had a strange feeling about him when I first met him. He took her to the dressing room twice, and I was hoping that she would be okay.
8-year-old Cherish Perrywinkle is found dead the morning after being abducted at a Walmart in Jacksonville, Florida. The autopsy would reveal she had been repeatedly sexually assaulted and then strangled to death. Donald Smith is arrested and later charged with first-degree murder, rape, and kidnapping.
It shows me that, number one, it was someone who was absolutely enraged, and number two, it was someone who had done this before.
What's even more disturbing, Smith is a sex offender with a long criminal career, arrests ranging from burglary to battery to crimes against kids. Yet on the day of Cherish's kidnapping, he was out free.
Every instance where he could have been incarcerated or hospitalized for long periods of time, he seemed to skate by and get out. And the individual reasons may have made sense for each individual case, but at some point there should have been a totality of the circumstances to say he's been given this opportunity and this opportunity, and he is a perpetrator that's going to reoffend. He shouldn't be out on the street. I almost feel like he had 9 lives, and that's not a good thing. It took the murder of an innocent 8-year-old for those lives to catch up with him.
He became sexually aware at 5 years of age. He started to engage in voyeurism by 10 years of age. He had a traumatic brain injury with loss of consciousness and scalp laceration at 9 years of age. This is his historical behavioral issues that I would call concerning.
Smith's trial began on February 12, 2018, over 4 years after Cherish's death. The prosecution's first witness, Lem Perrywinkle.
What did he say to you when you walked out the front door of the Dollar General?
If you really want that dress, I'll get it for you. He got snappy with me because I wouldn't get in the van.
I think part of what troubles people about her testimony is her honesty. Why did you ever let her around him?
I felt foolish after that. I thought I was just being paranoid.
She's heartbroken, she's devastated, but also she's honest.
Ma'am, when your daughter followed after this defendant towards McDonald's, was that the last time you ever saw your daughter alive?
Yes.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions.
While the prosecution would present a strong case, the defense did a curious thing. In their opening statement, they seemed eager to fight and even cast blame on Rain.
Do not make any fixed opinion at this moment.
But when it came time for Smith's team to cross-examine Rain, Smith says no. In fact, the defense chose not to call any witnesses, nor offer a closing argument.
Oddly, if you blame Rain, it doesn't really help your case, because you're essentially saying that she was so negligent that she allowed such a crazy killer like your client to then have contact with the children. So it doesn't really advance the theory very much. It was really tone deaf, insensitive, and they backed off.
We would learn a lot more about Smith, including things he never intended to be revealed.
You know how old they are? About 12, 13. You can see their wine glass on her.
At Donald Smith's trial for the kidnapping, rape, and murder of 8-year-old Cherish Perrywinkle, emotions ran high, including with jurors crying. In one of the most dramatic moments, when Dr. Valerie Rao, the medical examiner, took the stand, even she broke down.
Yes, so what we do is, I'm sorry, I have to take a break. Can I just have like 5 minutes?
Do you want a 5-minute break?
Just testament to the brutal nature of this crime. It's an 8-year-old. Anybody's sympathetic, empathetic, compassionate about a child. But here this medical examiner is having to testify as to all the gruesome details and how horrific, and probably the worst the medical examiner's ever seen in Jacksonville, Florida.
Before prosecutors finished up their case against Smith, they delivered one more blow. They played secretly taped conversations between him and another inmate in jail.
Man, when you look at this girl, you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. You know how old they are? About 12, 13. You can see their wine glass on her.
He's a perpetrator. This is what this man does, and he's never going to stop, in my opinion.
That's right in my alley, right there. That's my target area right there. That's what I go after. Well, you have fun with that one. Yeah, I like to run into her at Walmart.
It is unbelievable that in facing these types of charges, he would continue to speak so freely like that in jail. And here's the thing, it really shows that he was intending to do this, that this was something he planned to do. He is attracted to young girls and to committing violence upon them.
The jury sealed Smith's fate. It took them only 15 minutes of deliberations to come back with a finding of guilty across the board. Then it became a question of whether Smith should spend the rest of his life in prison or be put to death. We heard from various experts discussing everything from Smith's brain abnormalities to his history of himself being sexually abused, all as possible mitigating factors.
His imaging studies show profound atrophy. When I was looking at Mr. Smith's abnormal behavior, there were, we can say, 2 general categories of neurologic illness. One was a neurodegenerative disease, such as CTE or frontotemporal dementia. And then the other was a various form of epilepsy. He has what would be called a orbitofrontal syndrome, hypersexuality, disinhibition, inability to control inappropriate impulses, poor judgment, recidivism. Saying he can't control any impulses, that's too strong. I'm unable to say that. It's a balance thing.
Just because somebody has had mental health problems or even neurological problems, it doesn't mean that they do not appreciate the severity or the consequences of their actions.
But what we didn't predict was the testimony of a woman who says Smith tried to kidnap her when she was 13.
He told me to get the in the pan.
Did the defendant chase after you in that van?
He did.
I was horrified. That kind of terror for anyone, much less a 13-year-old girl, I can imagine the trauma.
I was slipping, and I was so afraid I was going to fall out and he was going to find me. He said, I know you're in there, you little bitch, and I'm going to find you.
It's so similar, and it was so long ago. And that's what's such a problem. And it really speaks to gaps in the criminal justice system It speaks to what could we have done. It should never have taken this long.
Once again, the jury sided with the government and recommended death, with Judge Mallory Cooper ultimately imposing the sentence.
I broke out crying. But no, it's not justice. The legal system works the way it works. But he's been living for 5 years after the death of my daughter, and he's going to be living until the death penalty is either done or whatever the case may be, and that's not justice. She didn't get that option to live those many years.
You would think this would be the end of Donald Smith's story. It isn't.
Oh no, is that I snapped.
After Donald Smith was convicted of the brutal rape and murder of 8-year-old Cherish Perrywinkle and sentenced to death, the world learned about another side of the killer. Recorded jailhouse conversations between Smith and his mom came out.
This is way bigger than anything. It's way bigger than Anthony. It's way bigger. There's people out there that you would think that don't have a damn clue about anything that's going on right around them, right beside them, and they know me all well.
What's disturbing is how involved and excited he was about the attention that he was getting. And so we can see this collateral almost benefit that he is getting from this.
Smith actually denies being a child molester.
I don't view children as sexual objects.
That is bizarre. Obviously, that is laced with complete dishonesty, but it might just have been something that he was telling his mom, or that he doesn't want to be perceived that way in jail, because child molesters in jail, of course, are exposed to a lot more violence by fellow inmates, and they also are not given a lot of priority by the jailers.
In one of the most shocking admissions, he suggests that as a registered sex offender, he had no choice but to kill Cherish when she followed him.
That's what I told Harry. He says, man, he says, once she got in your van, you were just left me. All I knew was, you gotta go. You have to go. I don't care how, you gotta go.
Blaming the victim, I think, is how he rationalizes in his sick brain how it's okay and why it's okay. Oh, it wasn't my fault. It was her fault. She made me do it, this little 8-year-old girl, and I'm a sex offender, and it's her fault, not mine. I think that's a sick way of rationalizing it.
Then Smith appears to strategize a mental health defense, even asking his mom for a copy of a manual on psychiatric disorders.
That's how manipulative he is, that he's manipulating his mother to get these things so that he can do the best he can to get out of jail. The reality is he is going to be brutal with any victim. If he were out, I think he'd have more.
At the end of the day, though, this case has always been about the loss of an innocent young girl.
She was, wow. It's hard to explain it. You'd never see her unhappy. She was never miserable. She never had any signs of anything. She was just smiling, just the biggest smile on her face every time you've seen her. And I know if you talk to people in Jacksonville, they'll tell you the same thing. To have an 8-year-old just be taken out like this is just unreal. I just hope they remember her smiling face and the fact that she had a good life ahead of her and would have probably been very successful at something. But we'll never know now.